It seems like every single year, the Miami Hurricanes fan base is always talking about how this is the best team we've had since 2002, or how they're going to win the ACC just for the regular season to roll around and be severely disappointed. But in 2024, though, something feels really different about Miami football. And I don't know about you, but I've been chugging down a lot of this green and orange Kool-Aid, and it's tasting like ACC Championship this year, in my opinion. You know, Miami, they got everything that they need to run the table in the ACC this year and win this conference outright. You finally got a true superstar at quarterback, and Cam Ward. Miami has never had a quarterback in the history of this program as talented as what Cam Ward is. And yes, I'm talking about all the greats from the 80s and 90s. Cameron Ward is the most talented, the most gifted quarterback that this program has ever had. Did you not see him in the spring game? Bro, when I was watching Cam Ward and watching him play and throwing these dimes to Xavier Restrepo, I damn near cried because it was beautiful out there to see a true superstar at quarterback. Tyler Van Dyke had his moments. You know, you had De'Aaron King when he first transferred in from Houston. There was a lot of hype around him, but it didn't really materialize. Brad Kai was pretty good. Steven Morris was pretty good, but Cam Ward easily takes the cake in the pie. He has a great arm. He's a good athlete. He makes really good decisions with the football. He's accurate. The Hurricanes are going to do a lot of damage this year with Cam Ward at quarterback. And then you want to know what should make people even more of a believer that the Miami Hurricanes are finally going to return to being relevant in college football this year? They just got running back Damian Martinez out of the portal. He was the best running back available. This is somebody that was averaging 6.1 yards per carry last season at Oregon State. Do you not know how good of a back you have to be to put up that kind of average per carry? 6 yards, that means for every 2 times you tote the rock, you're averaging a first down. Behind the offensive line that Miami's going to have this year with Cam Ward in the backfield, how are you going to game plan for stopping this offense if you're an opposing team's defense? I don't see how Clemson's going to stop this offense this year. Do you? Do you see Florida State's defense being able to stop this offense? Like, if I'm Florida State, I wouldn't even want to play Miami this year, because they're going to get embarrassed. DJ Uiagalelei versus Cam Ward is going to be an absolute mismatch. And like I just said earlier, when it comes to Florida State, they're not going to go anywhere with DJ Uiagalelei at quarterback. They're going to have a hard time trying to repeat as conference champs with him because he's just so inconsistent with Cam Ward. Even in his worst games at Washington State, he still was never as bad as what DJ Uiagalelei's worst games are. Cam Ward is the missing piece to the Miami Hurricanes being able to win these big-time games that has eluded this program for a while. Like, I can't remember the last time Miami has beaten a good team and that win actually meant something since when they went on that run back in 2017 when they beat Notre Dame and Virginia Tech in back-to-back weeks. That's the last time I can remember Miami getting big wins and big-time primetime games with big-time atmosphere and everybody watching, the lights being the brightest. That's the last time I remember Miami rising up for that kind of game. Ever since then, anytime Miami's in a big game, it's either a blowout or they find a way to blow it. Defensively, I really like what Miami has. Okay, they got a really good defensive line. The secondary should be really good. They got some really good safeties out of the portal as well. And Mario Cristobal. There's a lot of critics when it comes to Mario Cristobal. They say he's a great recruiter, but he's an average in-game head coach. Well, we're going to see that theory tested this season. Everywhere Mario Cristobal has been, around year 3 or 4, is where the program starts to reach their stride. This is when his program starts to take that big leap. His third season at Oregon, he won 12 games. They won the Rose Bowl. He helped Justin Herbert become a future first-round pick. I don't expect anything less this season out of Mario Cristobal with the Miami Hurricanes. If the Miami Hurricanes don't win at least 10 games this season, Mario Cristobal should be fired. Because anything less than the ACC Championship appearance this year out of Miami is just flat out unacceptable. And there's nothing that any Hurricanes fans can tell me to feel otherwise, bro. Did you not see how stacked this team is? Like, this is truly the best team that Miami has had since 2002. And I know we say it every single year, but it shows. Damian Martinez, Sam Brown, like, these were two of the top players at their positions coming out of the portal. You already got a lot of returning vets that are already pretty productive. You know, Jacoby George, you know, Xavier Restrepo. Like, there's way too much talent on Miami's roster. There's so much talent in this coaching staff that it should be flat out impossible for Miami to not at least be able to get to 10 wins this season. Like, please, Miami, if there was ever a season for you to finally live up to the hype, it would be 2024. Look at their schedule. Their toughest games are against Florida, Virginia Tech on the road early, FSU and Duke at home. Florida isn't even good. Florida should at least lose to Miami by at least 2 touchdowns in week 1. And I'm not being biased when I say this. Like, I truly believe this. When you look at Florida's spring game compared to Miami's spring game, like, they got a lot of work to do. We're far ahead compared to the rest of the teams in the ACC outside of Clemson, because Clemson definitely, they in the same category as Miami. They definitely could win the ACC this year too. But outside of Clemson and Duke, I think everybody else in the ACC is just a notch below Miami and Clemson when it comes to at least a talent standpoint this year. Now we're going to see just how good of a coach Mario Cristobal is, because Miami should be 6-0 before they have that big game on the road against Louisville. You play Florida, that's a dub. You got FAMU, Ball State, USF on the road, Virginia Tech, Cal on the road. Miami should be 6-0. And then you got FSU, Duke as your 2 toughest games following that. Miami may not go 12-0 because I know, like, upsets do happen, but 11-1, 10-2 to me, that sounds pretty fair. Considering that Mario has recruited at a really high level, he's brought in 2 outstanding recruiting classes, a top 5 class 1 year, top 10 class the year before that. Like, this dude is on the tear when it comes to being able to recruit like how you should and how you're expected to in the location that Miami's in. But now we need to start seeing that production. The problem with Miami has never been the ability to get talent. Manny Diaz was able to get some talent, although not to the same extent as Mario Cristobal, but he was working the portal. He was getting a couple of good high school recruits, but he was never able to develop them fully. And they were never ever able to play up to their potential under Manny Diaz when he was coaching. So Mario Cristobal, can he get these guys to the first round? Can he develop them? These are the questions that are going to be really important in shaping the success that Miami has this year. The majority of the teams that make it to the college football playoffs, they normally have a lot of NFL players on their squad. I believe there are a couple of NFL guys that Miami has this year. You know, I like the staff. I love offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson. Miami has had a really bad run with offensive coordinators my time being a Hurricanes fan. The only 2 OCs I can remember that were somewhat decent were Rhett Lashley and this Shannon Dawson dude. So I like him as the offensive coordinator. Cam Ward is a really good fit in his system because he's coming from an air raid system that he ran back at Washington and Incarnate Ward. So for me, I'm drinking all of that green and orange Miami Kool-Aid, and it's tasting like ACC Championship and college football playoff appearance.